Vendenhog's response to this objection is essentially that distribution of the death penalty has nothing to do with the theoretical morality of the death penalty. In other words, Vendenhog sees the distribution or the maldistribution of the death penalty as a practical legal matter. It's not a moral matter. In other words, he says at one point that no amount of maldistribution of the death penalty could make the death penalty immoral. The death penalty is either moral, justified, or immoral and unjustified. But guilty criminals not getting what they deserve, i.e. the death penalty, does not show that the death penalty itself is immoral. That is to say that if there's maldistribution of the death penalty, that shows that there are errors in the legal system, in the practical implementation of the death penalty. But that doesn't show that the death penalty as a punishment for the worst crimes is unjust. For example, Vendenhog would ask the abolitionist making this objection, he would say, okay, well, what if the death penalty were fairly distributed? Would you then support the death penalty? And presumably, based on this objection, the abolitionist would say, yeah, I guess so. I'm concerned about maldistribution. So if the maldistribution went away, then the death penalty would be justified. But what that shows is that the problem does not lie in the morality of the death penalty. It lies in the practical implementation of the death penalty. Maybe one other way of getting this across is like this. Imagine that there are 200 murderers, okay? 100 of those murderers killed white people, okay? Their victims were white people. And the other 100 murderers, their victims, let's say, were black people, African Americans. What Vendenhog is saying is if the murderers who killed the 100 white people, if all 100 of those murderers get put to death, and the 100 murderers that killed black people do not get put to death, they get, say, a lesser punishment, life in prison. That, even though it is severely maldistributed, right? The only thing that is determining the punishment, the death penalty for these criminals is the race of their victim. Even if it is completely maldistributed in this way, that still does not show that the death penalty itself is immoral. All that it shows is that our legal system needs improvement. But that does not show that the death penalty is not a proper punishment for the most severe crimes. And as he's already argued in response to the moral degradation argument, Vendenhog does believe that the death penalty is the proper punishment for the most severe crimes, such as murder. So just saying that there's this practical problem of maldistribution among the guilty does not show the theoretical wrongness of the death penalty. Even with maldistribution, the death penalty is still justified, according to Vendenhog.